Well, we welcome you one and all back to the Euroformula Open Championship of 2025. We're now coming into the closing stages of the season. We arrive at Spain here at Barcelona, 4.657 kilometers in length, 17 laps, 30 minutes maximum, and we have got a championship fight on our hands, folks, and it is made up of the top four in the championship so far here as we enter race one territory, race one of three that we're going to be taking you through this weekend. Obviously, we arrive at Barcelona, a track that broke ground back on the 24th of February 1989, 36 years ago. 2 years later, it would open on the 10th of September in 1991 with the start-finish line utilised as a start-finish line for that year's cycling event in the Olympic Games. But now looking to the front end of the order, gold medal is going to be sought after by Yevon David, the Sri Lankan, back on pole position for the first time since Spa-Francorchamps in only his second appearance on pole this season. The rest of them have been taken by this man, Timoš Kaharčík, also in the fight for the title at this stage. But both drivers are going to capitalise. Kaharčík looking to grow his gap at the top of the championship, with Yevon David looking to chase after Michael Shin at the moment, with slender points margins between the top four at the moment, though the bigger gulf between Yevon David, Jose Garfias and Michael Shin in second. Diego de la Torre starting in third alongside him. Jose Garfias is an all-Mexican second row ahead of this first encounter this weekend at Montemelo. And Garfias, who's had experience at this track in FIA Formula 3 competition, now looking to shine here in the Dallara 324. Everett Stack freshly back after a race win in the last race, his first in the Euroformula Open, back at Red Bull Ring last time out. He's going to hope for the same success this time around, once again to follow in the footsteps of the likes of Colton Herta. Theo Mikoris in his first start in the Euroformula Open Championship with Nielsen Racing this weekend. A very exciting young talent that is coming fresh from Prototype Racing as well as Radicals. Fernando Barrichello, fresh off the return of the FIA Formula 3 Championship, confirming his seat for next season as well in that championship, with Ed Pearson also marking a return for Nielsen Racing once again too, and looking for bigger results this time after a frustrating weekend at Red Bull Ring. Michael Shin, a difficult qualifying session, a rare difficult qualifying session for this man, and this will mean that he will start outside of the top six in the reverse qualifying race that we will have on Sunday. He lines up alongside Rui Hengye in his first weekend for BVM Racing, and it looks like that the team that once held only one car, with Francesco Simonazzi driving for the team for Giuseppe Mazzotti's squad, they've now got 3 entries, with Alessandro Famolaro towards the rear of the order. The Venezuelan will start from the back of the grid. George Morgan here, your commentator, joining me once again for the first time since Spa. It's Ewan Dunlop.
Thank you, George. Pleasure to be here as always. I am really looking forward to this one. The highlight of the weekend off for me.
Well, we'll come back to you, Ewan. We're going to take a look at highlights from last time out at Red Bull Ring. It was a great start straight away from Diego de la Torre. Had a blistering getaway off the line, led the way for a strong margin. Michael Shin was then on the attack. It was side by side with Yevon David. 2 cars entering into the gravel, more so for Yevon David, which certainly did upset his tyres. A wide runoff, though, for Diego de la Torre as his lead very soon was brought down, with Kaharčík moving through as they made their way through Rint Corner. But it would be Michael Shin powering his way to victory, and now ferrying points closer to Timoš Kaharčík, his first win since race 2 at Hungaroring. Race 2 then got underway, and it would be Yevon David getting it off the line first on the run in towards turn 1. A couple of drivers struggling with the starts, and it looked like that coming through in towards turn 1 that Timoš Kaharčík was also going to get his opportunity to move through up the inside. Kaharčík, though, would make a mistake, allowing Everett Stack to continue in second position. Later, though, Stack would run wide. This opened the door for Michael Shin once more to add yet more points to his ferry here this time, but it would be Yevon David for the first time since Hockenheim Ring taking victory in the Euroformula Open. Race 3 got underway, and it was Everett Stack who got off the line very smartly, as well as they powered their way up through towards turn 1. In the initial, though, we would see them come through up the hill through towards turn 3, but in the initial, some big side-by-side moments between Michael Shin and Timoš Kaharčík, with a crew coming up through towards turn 3. A big moment, unfortunately, for the 99 of Jose Garfias, who would eventually be upended by Everett Stack. Stack going on then later to take the checkered flag in his first victory of the championship, going along the lines of fellow Americans Colton Herta as well as Brad Benavides. Timoš Kaharčík now leads the championship by 10 points ahead of Michael Shin here right now. Then a small gap then to Yevon David, maybe 30 points, but that can change in one round. And we have Jose Garfias down in 4th on 241. Well, it's now race time here at Barcelona in the first race of the weekend in the Euroformula Open Championship. Let's go through the starting grid. Yevon David starts on pole position for the first time since Spa. Alongside him, fellow championship contender and leader, Timothée Kaharczyk in 2nd. Diego de la Torre on the 2nd row in 3rd. Then Jose Garfias making up 2 Mexicans on the 2nd row, with Everett Stack down in 5th on the 3rd row, alongside newcomer Theo Macoris, representing Nielsen Racing. Fernando Barrichello in his first start since returning from FIA Formula 3. He lines up in 7th alongside Ed Pearson in 8th, Michael Shin in 9th, disappointing qualifying, lines up alongside Enzo Ye from Taiwan in 10th, and Alessandro Famolaro from the back of the grid, the Venezuelan looking to move up from 11th. So as the formation lap now kicks off, Ewan, back to you. Great to have you back here at the Euroformula Open Championship. What do you take with the starting grid? Obviously some high drama at the end of qualifying. There was only mere thousands in the end between both David and Kaharczyk.
Quarter of a second between your top 5 it was, which is just incredible. There's no surprise to see Yevon David and Timothée Kaharczyk in the 1 and 2 spot. There is a surprise to see Michael Shin down in 9th, 2nd in the championship, and as you absolutely pointed out, that means if he'd finished 6th, he'd have been on pole in race number 3, he's still going to be in 9th. It's an absolute, let's say it, disaster of a qualifying for him.
It's a travesty for Michael Shin, because obviously you need to be in that top 6 to be part of that reverse scenario. Of course, the ideal thing would have been to finish in P6 rather than P8, to at least give yourself a chance at a pole position and a possible race win. But unfortunately for Michael Shin, he's effectively written off 2 races right now. Of course, we can't say that he's written off this one, because he's got just as much of a chance as anybody. And we've seen what can happen in the Euroformula Open Championship. It doesn't matter if you're from the back. You know, you can turn the scale in your favour very easily. That is the raceability of this Dallara 324 chassis. But now Yevon David, after warming up the tyres, getting set ready for the start of the race. Where do you see this one going, Ewan?
I see these front 2 battling all the way to the very end. They are in the top 3 in the championship. Michael Shin, unfortunately, has been down in 9th. Just to point out, Michael Shin, he has had 10 podiums this season, second only to Timothée Kaharczyk, but he's never got a podium when he started outside the top 3.
No, not at all. There's Yevon David in the familiar Sri Lankan lion livery, and he'll be hoping that lion will roar once again, as it did to grasp him pole for the 2nd time this season. Well, different set of affairs this time. The mission here, claim yet another win. His 6th of the season could be just around the corner if he muscles this one, and it could yet bring the points gap closer to himself and championship leader Timothée Kaharczyk. That is the mission. There's Giuseppe Mazzotti, team boss of BVM Racing. He has got new drivers behind the wheel. Enzo Ye, of course, in one of them. Alessandro Famolaro returning for his 2nd round in a row. There's the Motor Park Garage, Timo Rumpfkarl, just looking pensive in the background. The marshal with the flags in hand switches to the green one, and he will now wave it as we now wait for the lights to go red here at Barcelona. For the first time this weekend, all 5 are lit. They go out, and it's pedal to the metal, and it's go, 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 go. And Yevon David, a very slow getaway, and it's handed the lead on a silver plate to Timothée Kaharczyk, the championship leader, now with the advantage ahead of Diego de la Torre, who now moves into 2nd, 3 wide on the run down in towards turn 1. Fernando Barrichello taking the wide line. It's also 99 of Garfias, who will retain P4 for the time being, and a great start as well for Ed Pearson, who's already on the attack. Michael Shin looking to take full advantage of all the, should we say, the craziness that happened right at the get-go as they now start to make their way in towards turn 4. Another look from Barrichello now. Michael Shin diving at the inside of Barrichello this time. The 2 Motor Park teammates going wheel to wheel, and Michael Shin swooping past Barrichello and into 6th place.
Yeah, already gained 2 places. That couldn't have been a worse start. Everything went wrong there for Yevon David from the lead. Didn't get away well. Diego de la Torre did get a fantastic start, but Timothée Kaharczyk took advantage and straight into 1st position, and he's going to build a sizable gap as he possibly can straight away. Already gaps forming.
Yeah, Yevon David hasn't lost too much. The start is under investigation at the moment, as you saw on your screen, folks. So we'll wait and see what that brings. But we've got 17 laps to bring you from now till the checkered flag, and it's all been unfolding already. Shin into 6th place, has already gained half a grid order, well, more less than that, I should say. He only started from P9 in the rostrum, but 3 places gained already, making his way through this race so far. So there has been some smart starts here for Michael Shin. Famolaro has actually got past Enzo Yair as well, so one BVM swapping for another. They currently sit in the bottom 2 places in this rostrum as they now head down through towards turn 1 once more. There is Garfias, who is now looking to close up. Yevon David on the tail of Diego de la Torre, the Mexican, now under pressure. Yevon David going for a very shallow line into turn 1, has to swoop down towards the other side of the racetrack, but might have the up and under here this time, because Diego de la Torre, as a result of going narrow, has scuppered that momentum coming through turn 1 and turn 2, and it could yet put him at risk, heading out of turn 3 in towards turn 4. Yevon David now hovering all over his rear. Will he have a look down in towards turn 4 this time? A hesitant move there from the Sri Lankan Lion, but unable to get the move done. He remains in third.
And Timika Harcek, he's going to be loving this, letting him get away, this battle behind him. 1.3 the difference. He's had 6 consecutive podiums, Timika Harcek, 3 third places in Red Bull Ring last time round, but at the moment in absolutely prime position to end that run and get his first win since race 1 at Paul Ricard 6 races ago.
Yeah, big chances for every single driver on this grid at the moment. There is Fernando Barrichello still behind Michael Shin at the moment, fresh off the back of his FIA Formula 3 experience. Of course, we'll be moving there full-time next season. And so looking to try and end the season in grand style. Was, of course, a victor for only the 2nd time in the Euroformula Open Championship back at Paul Ricard in race 2. And I'd imagine that for Rubens Barrichello, of course, former driver for Ferrari in the Formula 1 World Championship, alongside the great Michael Schumacher, who went on to win 7 Formula 1 World Championship titles. It was a very successful era, arguably the most successful era of the Ferrari Formula 1 side, obviously, as with help from Michael. But both of them doing it together. Here comes Michael Shin now around the outside of Everett Stack. P5 could be potentially in the pocket, very close to contact as they come down in towards turn 1. And the 2 motorbike cars colliding. And oh my goodness me, you could almost see it happen before it happened. And a puncture on the rear right of Michael Shin's car. And remember, he's a championship contender in 2nd place. Well, he's just lost some key points here this time.
That's going to be massive, unfortunately. Yeah, he's already had 2 non-finishes this season, so that's his 2 drop scores. This could potentially be another. That is not what he wanted to see after a terrible qualifying. It's just got worse. Now, we mentioned the start. Diego got away incredibly well. However, under investigation, we saw that start, and it's his team managers that have been called to the stewards.
Yeah, well,
so I'd love to see that start again if we get a chance.
Well, I'm sure we will at some point, as we are now watching them make their way down through towards turn 10. Obviously, no safety car yet has been called out. There is an incident noted at the moment between cars 9 of Everett Stack. This is the incident in question. Let's take a look at it again. Wasn't really a lot of room there for Everett Stack, I must say. You
saw the wheels dovetailing in between. It was a disaster waiting to happen, to be quite honest.
Michael Shin can be a very feisty competitor. You could argue as well that there was some wheel spin from Everett Stack on the curb there that probably sent him a little bit closer in towards Michael Shin. But of course, Shin very desperately trying to move his way up from P9, where he started up the order. Was actually doing remarkably well, I have to say, but as a result of all of this, it's left Everett Stack now down in 10th place as well, 11.7 away from Enzo Yair, who's now up into 9th.
So Shin will drop mega points. Again, he was 10 points behind Timika Harcek, and he was 11 or 10 ahead of Yevon David. That will all change. He will still, oh no, he won't. Retain 2nd position. He will drop to 3rd, assuming Yevon David completes the race. And
this is why Everett Stack has dropped down. They brought the car in for a front wing check. Of course, we did see the front wing rattled.
I was going to say that didn't look like Michael Shin. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be Michael Shin. I don't think they're that quick bringing the car back to the garage. But as we now watch them come through over the crest, through Kamsa Corner once more, Timika Harcek still remains out in front. Obviously, no concerns about a safety car. They're carrying on as normal. 3 laps already mustered in here for Kaharchik. 1.6 ahead of Diego de la Torre in 2nd place. Only 3 laps into this one so far, but it has been a busy one to say the least, with high drama and storytelling for all to enjoy, wherever you're watching, of course, in the world. And we do appreciate your company, as well as always, folks at home. As we now watch them come through the final corners this time, Kaharchik now 1.6 up the road. Another 25 points. If he was to score that, it'd be the first time since Paul Ricard race 1. That was the last time he took a victory as now Everett Stack looks to rejoin the action. And a 5-second time penalty to be added to Diego Della Torre's time. So that'll throw Yevon David back into the P2 mix. And that's for the jump start.
It would also throw Jose Garfias, and we've got a lot of time to go, into third place right now. So at the moment, that is pretty poor, unfortunate for Della Torre. It might put Barrichello as things stand up into fourth as well. Now, that's Michael Schindler, so the car is in now.
Okay. His wheel.
And, do you know, I was just about to say, in fact, before that penalty came through, Diego Della Torre, let me get my words out, George. He's only had one podium so far this year, third place at race number 1 at Spa-Francorchamps, not really being anywhere near the top step of the podium. And that is going to drop him right down out of those top 3 where he was hopefully going to get. But do you know what? If you jump the start, you're going to get a penalty, aren't you?
Well, it's the name of the game, unfortunately. I mean, I know that many drivers have had issues with the carbon clutch pedal on the Dallara 324. When you're a new driver coming into this championship, it's something you do have to get used to. But, I mean, drivers wax lyrical about this fantastic car that we have here in the Euroformula Open Championship, and for good reason. I know that Timo Kaharczyk was a big fan as soon as he stepped into it. You just do whatever you want with it. It just floats around corners. And, of course, Yevon David's done that to great effect. Came in fact, our next race, or next round, I should say, will be Monza. And that was where Yevon David made his blistering debut 12 months ago. Of course, coming in at the tail end of the 2024 campaign, and didn't he just set the world alight in that one, taking 2 race wins in his initial start. He had a blanket of podiums for a long time, and that podium count continued right through until race 2 at Spa-Francorchamps, where it came to an end after he finished 4th in that second race. But Yevon David, this championship surely has been the making of him, and it will flourish him as he makes his way into the FIA F3 Championship, but still a championship to fight for here, looking to become the first Sri Lankan driver to win a European driver's title in single-seater racing, but needs to undo Timo Kaharczyk, who's had his own fair share of challenges after starting on pole, like we said at the start of the season. There have been 2 occasions where Timo Kaharczyk arguably could have come away with a win after starting on pole. And Portimao race 1 is a prime thought. Also Hockenheim race 1, another race that enters the peripheral vision, and you just look at it and you think, what could have been if you are Timo Kaharczyk? But you've got to put those moments behind you. Giuseppe Mazzotti certainly has, and in this young pole, he has got a driver that could potentially send BVM to the top as they look to break the long streak the Motorpark team have had over the last few years.
I'm a little bit surprised that Diego Della Torre is staying so close to Timo Kaharczyk. I thought he'd just get away. A poor assumption from my part. Only 1.1 now back Della Torre. Same to Yevon David behind him. Now, we were speaking even yesterday, just in conversation, George, about Jose Garfias, who since race 3 at Spa-Francorchamps, nobody has had more podiums than him in the last 12 races. He's been phenomenal. Not the greatest start to the season, but since then, he has been absolutely wonderful. Lying in provisional, let's call it, 3rd place right now with the 5-second penalty for Della Torre. Very much in this championship fight, isn't he?
He is, and I must say, 3 wins this season and a blanket of well, near enough blanket of podium. It was 4th place in race 2 at Red Bull Ring, but had a really strong weekend. Points-wise, arguably has been the most consistent performer in the second half of the season. He had a brilliant weekend at Hockenheim. He had a fantastic weekend at Hungaroring. Paul Ricard wasn't bad either, apart from race 2 where things went slightly awry. Race 3, obviously at Red Bull Ring, was one of note as well after finishing 2nd, much like race 1, and race 2 finishing in 4th spot. So he's had a really strong run points-wise, and that makes a huge difference in terms of your efforts in concluding championships. Whilst, of course, he sits in 4th right now, who's to say that he doesn't pull out 2 decent performances in tomorrow when we go racing? But he is on a great run, and his seat options for the future obviously remain open, as now we see Everett Stack just allowing, obviously under blue flags, Timo Kaharczyk moving through. So obviously don't be concerned about that, folks. Stack going slowly because he is P10 at the moment. Car 9, that is Everett Stack, also receiving a 5-second time penalty. So now that will be after the incident between him and the car that was around his outside, Michael Shin.
I'm surprised at that. I thought it looked 50-50 to me. If anything, I would have said Michael Shin was moving in on him.
Well,
but
colour me surprised as well, in a certain way. I have to say I wasn't sure about that myself, because I kind of felt maybe they feel at race control that he came off the curb a little bit harshly and closed up the line. But equally, you know, was there room there that Michael Shin could have given to Everett Stack to allow them through turn 2? Who knows? But yeah, a very dubious one. But obviously, Everett Stack receiving, regardless, a 5-second time penalty. And that's, whilst of course not ideal for any driver, I think at the moment is moot, considering where he stands right now in P10.
Yevon David got it to under 1 second to Della Torre. Of course, he'll only want to get past him. He knows with the 5-second penalty, it's irrelevant how close he gets. He needs to get past him because he wants to catch the man in number 1 spot, Timo Kaharczyk. And at the moment, that's moved out from 1.1 to 1.4, so only tenths of a second, of course, and still plenty of time. 9 laps to complete still, 9 times round the circuit. Jose Garfias just falling back to beyond 2 seconds. And then likewise the Barrichello. But great to see, we saw early in the season, these races sort of split up a little bit. I think it's so great to have only 11 cars on the track, but have them so close at the front as well.
Yeah, it's tight. Obviously, we've still got a battle for P2. Whilst on track, obviously, Diego Della Torre is going to receive a 5-second time penalty. Yevon David will inherit P2 regardless if it stays like this. Jose Garfias is still in 4th. Could yet receive a podium as well if the 5-second time penalty goes his way. There is Ed Pearson. Well, sat in 6th place, 4 tenths away from Barrichello, hovering all over the back of the Brazilian, who raced in F4 Brazil as he made his way up the single-seater rostrum. Was had his first race win in the Euroformula last year. Funny enough, back at Austria as well. Only took his 2nd win back at Paul Ricard Race 2. But he had a brilliant run in Brazil F4 with 6 podiums, taking 2 wins in 2022, along with 4 podiums, and it was just the 6 podiums in 2023, also taking part in F4 UAE back in 2023 as well. But next season, it'll be FIA Formula 3 for Fernando Barrichello, currently 2.3 seconds back from Jose Garfias, with Ed Pearson also breathing down Barrichello's neck. Theo Mikoris, who has come in with such high esteem, received such great high esteem from the Nielsen Racing team, and was actually fastest in free practice coming through the weekend in FP1 with a 1:32.824. Just could not quite translate it in quali, as now Yevon David has a look at the inside again on Diego Della Torre. Fastest lap in the pocket of Timo Kaharczyk, which will not only grant him 25 points for the victory, but an additional 1 for the fastest lap.
Absolutely. I'm just going to mention Michael Shin there, running around in 11th place. And if you're new to this, you might think, oh, what's the point in that? Well, there's plenty of point, because he's running around in 11th, yes, but he's going to be praying for a safety car. There's also a point available for fastest lap, as we know. There's also a point available for 10th. So if anybody else were to drop out, he would still gain a point or more. So yes, things have to fall in his way, but with the title race so close and still another 5 races to go after this, we've seen title races come down to 1 point, so he's got plenty to do out there. He's going to keep rolling around, and hopefully something falls his way. That's going to be his hope right now.
Well, the good news for Yevon David is that obviously with the 18 points that this will obviously put him in the picture for, by and large, does mean that I think it puts him on 264, I think, off the back of this. So Michael Shin will still hold on to the 2nd place in the championship. The obvious issue for Michael Shin is Timo Kaharczyk right now, who, if he comes away with the fastest lap and the race victory points, 26 will go his way. So therefore sticking him on 293, if my math serves me correct. But we'll let the championship standings tell us that when we get to the end of the broadcast. But it does mean that Timo Kaharczyk is going to be very well poised. I mean, that incident couldn't come at a better time for Kaharczyk, as now Yevon David goes late, coming in towards turn 1 and beautifully primed, and took us by surprise, as well as perhaps Diego Della Torre. P2 now is official for Yevon David as it stands.
Yeah, it was virtual, now real, and he will have his sights set solely, the targets right on Timo Kaharczyk, not just rival on track, but rival, of course, in the championship. And if he were to catch him, that would put him into second past Michael Shin, assuming Michael Shin stays outside the points, or at least in the very, very low points. So it'll rattle things a little bit. Timur Kaharczyk will stay absolutely guaranteed on the top spot. He's absolutely fine there. But 2 more races this weekend, and the 2 races tomorrow, we are still forecast heavy rain and thunder. So who knows what could happen if those races, of course, still fingers crossed they go ahead and the forecast is a bit wrong or not as bad as it might be. But these points right now could become doubly important with the forecast we have tomorrow.
Yeah, could well do. Obviously, we'll see how it unfolds with the weather as it makes its way through the weekend. But we've got a race on our hands regardless. As now Yevon David makes his way through the final 2 corners on this racetrack, and then eventually it'll be a long run down through towards turn 1. Diego Della Torre now with Jose Garfias for company. Garfias will inherit a podium as well with Diego Della Torre's penalty. Basically, Garfias is now in the Yevon David position pretty much from before. So they go full send in towards turn 1 this time, and the Sri Lankan to lift his motor park Dallara 324 chassis through the first sector. The gap, though, still extending out to 2.9 seconds. Kaharczyk still with the fastest lap as well, but it's what can Yevon David do with the clean air he now has in an effort to close up to Kaharczyk. Bear in mind, we have 6 laps left. I mean, a lot can happen in 6 laps.
Yeah, it's going to take a mistake from Timur Kaharczyk or an unfortunate incident that is not in his favour, because 3 seconds against the championship leader, who has had 6 podiums in a row, leading the championship by 10 points, most wins this season. No, that's incorrect. Yevon David's got the most wins this season with 5. Timur Kaharczyk has 4, but been more consistent across 15 races. So, yeah, Yevon David's got up the best sort of 5.5 laps of his life, and Timur Kaharczyk has got to turn on cruise control and maybe get a bit complacent, which I very much think is unlikely to happen.
Doesn't this tell the story of the front 2 in the race rostrum at the moment? Kaharczyk and Yevon David. Today, right now, Kaharczyk could level the number of wins with Yevon David with a victory here, making it 5 wins in his back pocket. Yevon David already with 5 in his, levelling up the scoreline. But equally enough, Kaharczyk has been that much better where it's come to the latter podium positions, most notably P3s. He's got 2 more of those than Yevon David. They match, though, in terms of second places, though Yevon David, if he finishes second here today, will have 3, and Kaharczyk will have 2. But Kaharczyk will probably much prefer the victory regardless. More points to score. At the same time, it looks better in the stats. As now we have 5 laps left. Kaharczyk now still retaining that fastest lap. Yevon David, 1:35.397 was the last lap. He was actually faster than Kaharczyk by approximately 1/10 and a half last time, as they cruise down, nearly 2 tenths, in fact, 10th and a half to 2 tenths, as they now come through Seat Corner and then in towards Verth Curve now. We're currently watching the 44 of Diego Della Torre, as the Mexican with the unfortunate penalty against his name. That will, of course, hand the podium across to Jose Garfias. Barrichello also not out of the realm of a P4 either. So he's 2.8 at the moment away from Garfias. So in turn, call that what you like, 3.9. That's still enough for Barrichello to inherit P4 here.
And just watching the time come down at the top as well, it's gone from 2.9 to 2.4. Yevon David on Timur Kaharczyk. The other, of course, knock-on effect of if things stay the way they are is that Yevon David will start race 2 tomorrow in 5th as opposed to 6th for Timur Kaharczyk. However, based on the... who's that off the track there?
Now, was that Diego Della Torre by chance? Yes, it was. So Diego Della Torre going wide off at the end of the final corner there. Just seemed dipping off out of New Holland onto the gravel, and that's going to open up an opportunity for Barrichello to get closer. And we heard a little tyre screech. Was that Diego Della Torre again? Can't see any issues right now. The Brazilian Fernando Barrichello now has a chance to get the move done on track, and also equally, it's inheriting a potential opportunity also going Ed Pearson's way, because now he gets thrown in within the bracket. Let's take a look at the replay. There is Diego Della Torre into the gravel. Jose Garfias, needing no introduction, moves through into the on-track 3rd place.
So as we had with Yevon David getting past Della Torre, Garfias was virtual 3rd regardless. Now he moves into official. Whether he'll start chasing down Yevon David with 4 laps to play or Timika Hardcheck is less likely. So he only, well, in fact, with the penalty, so he'll now be in 4th place for the race 2 tomorrow. But of course, with the penalty, that would have happened anyway. So that doesn't really change too much other than the way they're going to finish here. It just puts Barrichello a bit closer to him, doesn't it?
It actually puts Famolaro at the moment, I would say, in the position for pole.
Yes, of course.
For the reverse race, because Diego Della Torre now, the gap between Famolaro and Diego Della Torre, obviously it's 1 point, call it 1.4 if you add both Barrichello and Pearson's together. So that's 3.3. So it's 3.3 seconds between Famolaro and Della Torre. At the moment, Famolaro is in a position where he could actually achieve a pole starting point for the reverse race coming up tomorrow.
I'm just doing your maths as well, yeah. Well, things will change in the next 3 laps. But yeah, at the moment, as things stand, yes. Well, what a situation to pop him into.
Yeah, brilliant chance. Oh my goodness, that's Garfius. That's the P3. Of course, he inherited after Diego Della Torre went into the gravel himself coming out of the final corner. Garfius inherited the P3. Well, now Garfius in free fall, and much to the higher degree than Diego Della Torre, and now he's well and truly outside the top 6. Famolaro, regardless, will get that P6 here and now, with Theo Macoris now potentially inheriting the reverse race.
What happened there?
Pole.
A complete lock up front right, wasn't it?
Completely locked up the tyres there, did Jose Garfias. Now, that is disappointing, especially on the great run that he has been on as of late. The Mexican taking a trip into the gravel trap. And that means that his quest for a podium is over. Here in this first race, here in the Euroformula Open Championship Barcelona weekend. Here comes now Fernando Barrichello on the move on Diego Della Torre around the outside here. As the 2 Motorpark drivers come together wheel to wheel, but getting pushed out wide. Barrichello will have the up and under, heading uphill as they come through out of turn 10 through turn 11. Barrichello trying to leave it long, leave it late, but look up the inside now. Ed Pearson coming into this as well. Look at the gamble of the fact that these two are scrapping, and Pearson and Barrichello going wheel to wheel in towards the final corner as well. The Brit up the inside, and through goes Pearson around turn 14. Brilliant stuff, capitalised as Barrichello tried to make the move, but ultimately wasn't able to do it. It left the avenue for the move on for Pearson. Now Barrichello looking to try and fight back. They're going to go side by side again in towards turn 1 and later turn 2. Can Pearson hold his bottle? There you can see Barrichello. He's been cut off. Pearson will retain that 4th place out on track. Lovely move from the young Brit.
That, I'll just sit back enjoying that. Well, that is absolutely
and
brilliant.
There's more in the offing.
And we mentioned about how close and tight fighting this is. Once again, Ed Pearson now looking to move up into 3rd place.
And that was some very tenacious defending there from Diego Della Torre. Pearson on the move now, and he's going to go for the on-track 3rd podium in the pocket here for Pearson. After a stressful Red Bull Ring weekend, Diego Della Torre pushes him out wide and set, and through goes this time Fernando Barrichello. They dance here around this Barcelona circuit. Once again, nearly wheel to wheel. Barcelona offering so much for these Euroformula cars. These Dallara 324s. Pearson undone after coming together with the Mexican Diego Della Torre has just seen a potential P3 podium slip through his fingers as they come down through towards Laquea Bend, and they're joined by Famolaro as well. It's wheel to wheel further back. Famolaro, Theo Macoris around the outside too as they make their way up the hill. Macoris looking for P6 on track as they come through back San Bedell, and BVM's Theo Macoris moving into 6, I believe. Oh no, that's Famolaro. I do apologise in the number 4, but Macoris in the number 7. No, it is, I believe, Macoris. Just looking on my screen here. Do apologise, folks at home. Macoris in that P7, in that 7th place 7 car, in P7 as well. And Enzo, joining the fight.
We can forgive you for finding that difficult to keep up. That's a lot of work. Well done. But look, this is just wonderful. What an advert for Euroformula this is right now. There are 6 cars chasing down, potentially podium. Is there another connection?
A collision between Enzo, and it looks like, off the back of it, the number 7 of fellow Nielsen driver, Macoris, obviously not representing the BVM team. The Nielsen car belonging to Theo Macoris. Just tying up, coming through turns 1 and 2. See what the stewards are going to have their work cut out here, and there's more side-by-sides, as well as they come through on the final lap. And this is Ed Pearson, who's managed to get past Diego Della Torre, so he's back into 4th now, Ed Pearson. but the gap between himself and Barrichello is now strung out to 1.7 seconds. Yevon David, 8.6 up the road, and Della Torre, despite the penalty, is still determined to finish ahead of the cars that are around him.
And so we go back towards the front now, 3 corners left for our leaders. Yevon David still chasing Timothy Kahacek. He's got it down to 1.1. It was 2.9. It's been a valiant effort, but Timothy Kahacek will get his 5th win of the season. In the last 2 corners, he'll match Yevon David on top steps of the podium, but extend his lead in the number 1 position. Timothy Kahacek, 1 more corner, and he'll cross the line and celebrate 7th consecutive podium, his first win since round 1 at Paul Ricard, but he does stand on the top step again in Barcelona.
And a very happy Giuseppe Mazzotti from BVM. Timothy Kahacek, 5 wins in the Euroformula Open Championship, now levelling up with Yevon David. A mishmash across the line as Enzo Yeh comes across, challenging the car belonging to Alessandro Famolaro. But what a race. A bizarre one, it has to be said, folks. A busy race for sure. But it is Timothy Kahacek, Yevon David, Fernando Barrichello, your top 3. Barrichello achieving a phenomenal podium visit on his return from FIA Formula 3. But Kahacek has now thrown 26 points, I believe, back in his favour. Did he take that fastest lap? I believe he did. Yes, he did. Let's have a look at this moment again. This is Enzo Yeh getting the rear stepped out. A little bit of contact made with Theo Macoris as the Nielsen and the BVM came together. Just how do you sum up those last few laps in one sentence? I don't think that's even possible, but truly bizarre. Everett Stack was, of course, in the midst of that, but as a lapped car at the time. But this man, with a 5th victory, applying yet 26 additional points to his championship allocation. It is now 293 in his back pocket, 7 away from the 3rd century. And I must say, that title could be looming closer and closer. Timothy Kahacek's way. The BVM man has done it. Timothy Kahacek is your race winner of race 1 here at Barcelona. Yevon David in 2nd. Fernando Barrichello in 3rd as well. Ed Pearson in 4th place. Could have been a podium for that young man had he not had the moment with Diego Della Torre. Theo Macoris down in 5th with Alessandro Famolaro in 6th. Then comes Rui Heng-Ye, Diego Della Torre in 8th, Everett Stack in 9th, Jose Garfias after the trip into the gravel, dropping down into P10, just ahead of Michael Shin, who had that puncture after the collision with Everett Stack, the 2 motorpark cars coming together, and I'm sure there will be some discussions afterwards. It's in fact 303 points now for Timothy Kahacek, so there we have it. He is now ahead of Michael Shin by 36 as it stands, who in turn is 2 ahead now of Yevon David after the 2nd place finish for the Sri Lankan Lion. Jose Garfias now in 4th with Ed Pearson down in 5th, Fernando Barrichello in 6th, Everett Stack 7th, Diego Della Torre in 8th, and obviously Sean Rashid no longer part of the championship. My goodness, yes, in fact, it is 303. I do apologise, didn't carry the 1 for my... So, advanced mathematics, everybody. Mine clearly needs work. 303 here for Timothy Kahacek, and I have to tell you, a brilliant job from this young Pole, who is really coming into his own now. The early struggles have been blown away, and he will celebrate win number 5. The pole now to victory once again, and Giuseppe Mazzotti, the first to give him a big hug, team boss of the BVM racing team. Of course, their next round will be a home race. Yevon David celebrating with his family and connections, said he had very little he could have done after the tough getaway off the line. Timothy Kahacek, they chant, and for good reason. They know how clinical and how much that win could mean here, Ewan, I think.
That's huge. There's several positions there that have made a massive difference. Of course, Michael Shin didn't pick up a point there for finishing in 11th place. Disappointment for Jose Garfias, who was looking to put in a bit of a move at the end of the season. That will make a massive dent in his hopes. Yevon David crouching up on Michael Shin with the massive points difference there. But was it 36-point lead now for Timothy Kahacek? That is absolutely massive. It
is massive. It is, I must say, it's gifted him a huge opportunity now. And wins ahead, obviously, even if he was to nil points a round, or a race even, I should say, not a round. Obviously, a round consists of 3 races. But it gives him a fantastic chance here of really throwing the title in his favour, and obviously standing by now for a chat with Alfredo Filipponi, and we will be speaking to him shortly. Fernando Barrichello back on the podium once again. Brilliant job from the young Brazilian for the first time since race 3 at Paul Ricard. Yevon David, the Sri Lankan Lion, roared to the finish line, not quite able to challenge the pole that eventually went on to victory. But it's win number 5 for Timur Kaharczyk, levelling up with Yevon David, and he furthers his gap at the top. He's standing by with Alfredo.
Dimek, hello, welcome back. Another one. That was a nice one.
Yeah, it was really, really tough, you know. The heat was really bad, and I'm struggling a bit with sickness this weekend, so I didn't feel very comfortable in the car for the whole weekend. But yeah, crucially made a good start, and then from then on I was just managing my tires. In the end, it was really, really tough. I had few really big moments, but you know, I'm just super grateful to finally finish this race, because that was awful.
That was good. You were in the good position because behind you there was a complete mess until the very end. Very good for the championship.
Yeah, obviously. I couldn't be better. Couldn't ask for more today. So job done for today. Tomorrow, obviously, different story. I will start on the back, so it'll be a bit different. But, you know, I think the pace is still there. I think this race proven that it can happen a lot throughout the race. Tire management is really, really important. So, yeah, just super happy about this race. And tomorrow, probably fix the car. I hope I'll feel a bit better, and it'll be good.
Well done. Enjoy.
Well, let's see how he did it. It was a great start, I must say, off the line for Timur Kaharczyk. A slow getaway for Yevon David. Diego Della Torre, who got a big jump, but of course breached the starting regulations, eventually handed a 5-second time penalty. Everett Stack and Michael Shin went wheel to wheel in the early stages too, eventually coming together and colliding. It led to a puncture for Michael Shin, sending him back into the pits for a tyre change. Yevon David, of course, on a recovery mission, trying to move through. It would be a trip into the gravel for Diego Della Torre, who would eventually then allow P3 over to Jose Garfias, who himself would also move into the gravel. Ed Pearson was in the thick of a fight with Diego Della Torre, trying to move into the podium places, eventually getting caught around the outside in Seat corner, allowing Fernando Barrichello to take that position up, eventually leading to him finishing 3rd in this race. Diego Della Torre also fancying a move on the Brazilian, but was unable to pull it off. It would, though, lead to the checkered flag. Timur Kaharczyk landing a crucial blow in this championship, his 5th win of the season, levelling up with Yevon David. And a very happy Giuseppe Mazzotti as well. A big result for BVM. The 3 drivers that finished in the top 3. Just listening in there. Obviously, Yevon David just confirming that Diego Della Torre got the jump start penalty. So hence why the positions ended up the way they did. First driver to stand on the podium steps is Fernando Barrichello. He will stop on the 3rd step with Yevon David on the 2nd step, and that is, of course, Yevon David's 3rd appearance on the 2nd step of the podium, with Timur Kaharczyk on the top step for the 5th time this season, and BVM sending a representative up for the team's trophy. Yevon David, highest placed rookie once again as well, so we'll win the rookies prize as well as the 2nd place trophy. And we have the Polish national anthem. So the Polish national anthem rings out here for Timur Kaharczyk. Another step closer to the championship. I'd imagine it'll be early bed rest for him if he's not feeling too good here, Ewan.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's Barrichello somehow ended up on the podium in that race. He wasn't near there sort of halfway through, but that is now his 3rd consecutive podium. This is his best run of the season by an absolute mile. Of course, didn't take part in Red Bull Ring. I think he jumped up to F3, didn't he, for a weekend? But he is now a driver on form, Barrichello.
He is. First, third, and third again for Fernando Barrichello. The second place trophy already delivered now to Yevon David. And Mr. Santamaria now presenting the winning trophy to Timek Kaharczyk. And big smiles on the face of Timek. And he'll look ahead to tomorrow. As I said, obviously recovering from illness, as he said in his interview with Alfredo Filipponi. We'll need to get into some early bed rest for a busy day tomorrow. The winning team trophy going to BVM. The Italian outfit will be looking for further success now tomorrow, as the Pirelli representative hands the winning rookie trophy to Yevon David as well. They'll stand on the top step of the podium and share a moment, a photograph all together. And that concludes all the action from Euroformula on day one, folks. We have 2 more races to bring you. We'll see you on Sunday. Goodbye.